Hey, Shalom, Yeshua, and world. I'm Brother Ezekiel,
Brother Chris.
and we're here again on another lesson. This lesson is going to be called "How to Judge Righteously," because we hear, you know, a lot of things like in Christianity or even in the camps and things. Like we hear that saying that you can't judge me, only God can judge me, and don't point your finger at me, and you know, um, you're not my judger and things like that. When in reality, actually, we are if you judge according to the Most High's word, which is His laws. So if you know these laws and you're keeping them, and you see your brethren, not keeping them and stuff, and they're erring and stuff, you can help them and say, hey, there's a judgment for this. You explain to them what the judgment's going to be if they don't turn from their follies or their wicked ways or whatever the case may be. So there's a way how you judge according to this. The only thing is that we can't condemn. That's the biggest thing. When we see brothers that's breaking the laws according to, that's according to death and things like that, you can't do that. That's up to the Most High in Christ when Yeshua returns. They'll be marked for that stuff. But right now, you're supposed to help judge them accordingly to the law. But if you can't judge, if you don't know the laws, how can you judge at all? How can you understand a matter? How can you deal with any issues that's going on amongst our people and amongst the rest of the world? How can you be a light unto the Gentiles when we're supposed to judge the whole world? Okay? You have to know the laws and things. Once again, you need to learn how to blow the trumpet correctly. And the way of doing that is knowing those laws. So we're gonna go to the scripture that a lot of people like to use when somebody brings up some stuff on the individual, knowing that they sinning and things like that, and then people don't want to hear it because the first thing they do is like, you can't judge me. So we'll show you exactly what they be taking out of context, okay? So we're going to start in Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to read verse 1 through 12.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 12. After these things, Yeshua walked in Galilee.
Matthew 7.
Matthew, my bad.
Yeah.
John.
Oh, good, Em.
Sorry about that. Okay. Matthew 7, chapter, verse 1 through 12. Judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
Let's stop right there for a second. So right there, what people do when they read this script, they'll stop at verse 1. It says, judge not that ye be not judged. And then they'll stop right there. Okay? So nobody's supposed to help edify you on some conditions that you're doing that you're causing sin amongst yourself to get your name written out the book of life. And here it is, your brother's trying to help you, showing you that he doesn't do these things, and he's trying to show you how you should not do these things. But you want to disregard him and wave him away because you don't want to listen to what he has to say because you love living in that folly. But this is what they do, and this is what they teach and stuff. So he just told you through the rest of the scriptures, Christ just told you, like, yo, first take out what's out of your own eye, then you can see yourself, see things clearly, and then help out others to remove theirs as well. Once again, how can the blind remove the blind's own stuff out of their own eye or help them? Like it says, the blind leading the blind, they all fall into a ditch again. Okay? But keep reading, Ellen.
Verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you.
So why we're reading this is also when he's speaking on to dogs, like, not casting your pearls before swine and things. You have individuals who are going to stay reprobated. They're going to stay filthy. They're going to stay the same thing. No matter what you say to them, they're not going to turn from it. there's a time where you have to give it up and walk away. Even Yeshua walked away from a lot of stuff. He had to go back to the cities and say woes onto them when they saw the power of the Most High being through Christ and healing the people and stuff. And as he was giving glory and honor to the Most High and stuff, they still went back sinning and stuff. And to back that up, go to Revelations 22, and we'll go to verse 11.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 11. Verse 11 says, "He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still."
See that? Let them stay filthy. They don't want to move from none of that stuff. Leave them alone. Throw your hands up. Walk away from it. You know, this is what you have to do. You can't. Otherwise, you're gonna wear and tear yourself, and then you'll get consumed in their mess because you're so worried about them and trying to help them and things like that, and you act like you're not going to be deemed worthy because you can't get this person to turn or to convert. You can't do that.
That's right.
They got to do it on themselves. It's on self. Okay, we keep reading, Ella.
And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still.
See that? So that's what we have to do according to these scriptures. This is how we judge in things. This is what it is. If that person don't want to move from it, so be it. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Shalom. You know, don't waste your time with it. That's what he was talking about, casting your pearls before swine. But let's go back to Matthew 7 and
Matthew 7th chapter and verse 7.
Yes, sir.
"Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth. And to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you whom if your son asks bread, will you give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will you give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him?" That's verse 11.
Oh, did I say it?
12?
Yeah, 12. I'm sorry.
Verse 12. "Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets."
So this is even the law of the prophets. So he's even saying if you're giving these children bread, you know, they want bread to eat and stuff. You giving them stones and stuff. You're basically making them stumble. They're going to choke on that stuff. You giving them serpents instead of fish. They're going to die and stuff. This is what our people are doing according to these laws. Well, not according to the law. They change it, and the judgment ain't even right. So you have individuals out here who are trying to judge a whole matter and don't even have the understanding because they don't know the laws to judge the whole matter. Then, too, they don't have the diligence or the time, the endurance to sit there and listen to both matters to find out who was in the wrong, who was in the right and things, because you need two or more witnesses to establish all these things. So we'll get into the law part in a second, but I'm just showing and prove this is what Christ was speaking of when you're trying to judge your brothers or your sisters or rest of the world. If you don't know those laws, you can't do it. It's impossible. And you're going to end up teaching the next person to do the same thing that you're doing, so everybody keeps corrupting themselves and becoming filthy and everything. That's why there's no judges set up now. The only judge that's going to come that was handed to, or the power that was handed to, was Yeshua or Yahweh Shai, or who you guys still call Jesus Christ and stuff. But let's get the next thing to show how we're supposed to judge righteously. Let's go to Matthew 19 and 28.
Matthew 19th chapter and verse 28.
And he's going to let you know exactly who else is going to be judging, because this is how we could tell that that saying, you can't judge me, only God could judge me, that's out the door. So Christ is even going to tell you this. Go ahead.
Matthew 19 chapter and verse 28 said, And Yeshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, he also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So guess what? Christ ain't going to be the only one judging. You're going to have the rest of the disciples, righteous men, is going to be judging as well. And how we prove this, how this is all set up, is all the way back in the time of Moses. But we'll get to that in 1 second. The precursor or the the blueprint back in the Exodus was shown and proved how that was set up and things like that, or what was going to come. But we'll get that in 1 second. Let's go. I just want to get the law. I want to get the righteous judgment parts from Christ first, because a lot of our people are still in Christianity and only know the other half of the book. They don't know the Old Testament. So I'm going to stick with the new for just a second. Then I'm going to bounce in the old and back and forth again. So let's go to, let's show and prove how Christ was the judge. Let's go to Acts chapter 10 and verse 38 through 42.
Acts, the 10th chapter, verse 38 through verse 42. And verse 38 says, How the Most High anointed Yeshua of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for the Most High was with him.
So, real quick, just showing and prove, Christ is not God. He just said that he got this power from the Most High, and the Most High was with him. So let's get that out the blue, and that lesson is coming up too. But continue reading, Elder.
Verse 39. And we are witnesses of all things which he did both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they slew and hanged on a tree. Him the Most High raised up the third day and showed him openly. Now that all the people, not to all the people, but unto the witnesses chosen before of the Most High, even to us, who did eat and drink with him after he rose from the dead. And he commanded us to preach unto the people and to testify that it is he which was ordained of the Most High to be the judge of the quick and the dead.
So the Most High is showing you that he was a righteous judger, because he kept the law, statute, and commandments faithfully. He was going against the Pharisees that kept lying, who had all the scrolls, all the laws, and was steadily blinding the people and stuff, the masses of the people, to keep them blind, deaf, and dumb, because they wanted what? That authority. They wanted that power. That authority and that power wasn't given to them. They took it by wickedness, because somebody gave them a man-made title. And we're going to get into that too, because there's scriptures on that as well. But let's get the next verse. Let's jump to Acts chapter 17 and verse 30 through 31.
Acts 17 chapter verse 30 and 31. And the times of ignorance, and the times of this ignorance the Most High winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent, because he hath appointed a day in the which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, that in that he hath raised him from the dead.
See that? So once again, that the Most High in that man who he ordained. So once again, who was the man that he ordained to judge righteously? His own son, which is who? Christ. So once again, Christ isn't God. But once again, this is a judger, because he's showing you that everything that the Most High wanted Christ to do, Christ kept it completely. He dealt with all the law, statute, commandments. That's why, once again, the Pharisees were astonished when they found that. They're like, where did you learn from? He didn't learn from us. He come from the poorest part of Judea, Nazareth. Well, how did he know? He didn't grow up underneath us and things like that. So how does he know these things? That's why they couldn't cast a stone on him. Okay, but let's continue. Let's go to John chapter 5 and verse 22 through 30.
John, the 5th chapter, verse 22 through 30. For the Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment unto his Son.
See
unto
that?
The Son.
All the power and judgment went into him. The Most High ain't got to do nothing. He's relaxed on his throne and stuff. His Son is his servant. He doing the things that he said he was going to do. So that's why all power and authority is going into Christ for the 1,000 years as his reward and stuff, as being a faithful, obedient son and a servant as well. So he's having this time to judge. The Most High is going to condemn all those individuals, whether it's the good condemning or it's the bad condemning, one way or another. If you ain't got that name written, his name written in you, it's done. It's over with. But continue reading.
Verse 23. That all men should honor the Son, even as they honored the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father which hath sent him.
So wait a second. How can you honor the Father without honoring the Son, when the Most High just said he sent him? Or vice versa. How can you just honor the Son and disregard the Father? That's not happening. You got to deal with both. And that goes for non-Messianics and Messianics and things. Okay? So you can't have one without the other. You have to honor them both completely. Okay? But continue.
Verse 24. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life.
Mm-hmm.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, that the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of the Most High, and they that hear shall live. For as the Father hath life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself, and hath given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. Marvel not at these things, for the hour is coming, in that which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, they that have done good until resurrection of life, and they that have done evil until resurrection of damnation. Verse 30. I can of mine own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which has sent me.
See that? So he just told you again. Once again, Christ is the God. He said, I came to do the will of the Father who sent me. Okay? I'm gonna judge because he allowed me to judge and things. So he's bringing everything that's good and evil into judgment. As we know this, real quick, let's jump to Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 real quick, just to back that up. I mean, everybody on here should know this, unless, you know, newer people just now watching this and things, but everybody should know this one, especially that's in the truth.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 13?
Yep.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Keep reading.
For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
See that? So that's just backing it up what Christ is saying here. So Christ never took honor or glory from the Most High for himself. So we got to stop that, because we're doing the same thing the Pharisees is doing. You're adding stuff on and putting words in his mouth that he never claimed or he never said. So that's another lesson in itself, because we're going to bring that into I'm gonna knock all that stuff down. As a matter of fact, some of them scriptures are going to be in this one. But let's go back to John chapter 8 and verse 26.
John chapter 8 and verse 26. I have many things to say and to judge of you, but he that sent me is true, and I speak to the world those things which I have heard of him.
Keep reading.
They understood not that he spoke to them of the Father.
You see, so right here, when Christ is speaking this, when he's talking about the judgment again, all these things that he's speaking of is of the Father. But you got to remember, even the disciples, all the people they didn't have this. They don't have this. They didn't have the scrolls. They didn't have the laws, all this stuff. Because why? They had somebody in a power position to sit there to keep them blind, deaf, and dumb. Because if they have this, we don't need them. So guess what? They have no power, no authority, and things like that. But now today, you have it, and you still give them power and authority. So it's like, like the Most High gave it to you right here, so you wouldn't have to worry about that stuff. You wouldn't have to worry about getting tricked, and you still want to get fed spoonfuls of lies and things. Anyways, that just that confounds me at times with that. But anywho, let's go to chapter 9.
John 9?
Yeah, and 39 through 41.
John chapter 9, verse 39 through 41. And verse 39 says, And Yeshua said, For judgment I am come into this world, and they that see not might see, and they which might be made blind. I'm going to read that again. Verse 39. And Yeshua said, For judgment I am come into this world, and they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Yeshua said unto them, If you were blind, you should have no sin. But now you say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth.
See that? And this is the thing. The word is the laws that he's speaking of here, the judgment and stuff. He's like, this is for the lost sheep. They don't know any better. They're blinded. Because why? Who's keeping them blinded? It's the Pharisees. Okay, it's these men in power. Today it's the camps in the Israelites. It's the churches also. Majority. I ain't gonna say all, but majority. Okay? They're doing the same thing. It's repeating itself. Like the scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. So that's why the Pharisee says, so are we blind also? Yeah, you are blind. Because you refuse, because what's blinding you is your pride. It's your stubbornness, your envy towards your own brother. Because why? He knows these things, and he's basically, in their sense, or how they see it, they're stealing the spotlight from them. Because they was never set up in the first place to have that position to do those things. They put themselves up there to do that because they knew some things, or they had access to this. That's what it is. But anywho, and this is what Christ was talking about when we judge, when he was speaking on the Pharisees of judging righteously and stuff, because they're blinded like this. And he warned us of, like, watch out for these cats, okay? Go to Matthew 5 and 20.
Matthew, 5th chapter, and verse 20. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven.
See that? You shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven, because your righteousness has to over exceed their man-made righteousness, their precepts of men, their laws of men, their doctrines of men. You have to over exceed that by what? Dealing with this thoroughly, knowing those laws completely. And that's the only way you're going to do it and stuff. If you sit there and you listen to a man and put your faith in his hands and stuff, you're going to end up in damnation, because you don't know if he's completely righteous or whatever. But the scriptures even tell you in Jeremiah 17:5, it said, "Cursed be the man that trusted in man and make it his own flesh. Do not put your salvation in another man's hands." Seek the book, seek the word, seek the Most High. That's who you need to be fearing. You see? But let's you know what? Let's go to where I'm gonna go with this. Salakia, y'all. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's jump into the old right now. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2 and verse 13.
Exodus chapter 2 and verse 13. And when he went out the second day, behold, two men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said unto him, that did the wrong. Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? You read?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known.
So right here, why I went to this one specifically, at that time, Moses did not know why the two men were striving, even though he asked. Okay, he wasn't set up to be a judge over them and things like that. That's why the brethren sat there, replied to him like, "Hey, who is you to judge us? Are you going to kill us like you did the same thing you did to the Egyptian and stuff?" And he got feared because they knew about it. They had witnesses. You see, but there's no witnesses of why these two brethren are fighting with each other. Moses only came to see that the time at them striving with each other and things like that. So with that being said, you wasn't set up to be a judge yet. Moses at this time, who gave him prince of Israel, or I mean to be a prince of Israel, of course the Most High, but it was given by Pharaoh. That's not as you're supposed to be chosen by your own people and things. And the only people that choose you through the laws is by the high priest, through whatever prophet it was for the high priest to anoint that man to be a king in that sense. Okay. So with this being said, everything has to be established by two or more witnesses, and it has to be done righteously and stuff. And we'll jump back and forth to show. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about as far as judging righteously as far as what Moses and everything. But there was something I wanted to bring out about the titles, and this is why I was talking about Moses wasn't set up yet to be a judge. Just give me 1 second here. I'm looking at my notes again. Jump to Job chapter 32 and verse 7. Actually, I'm sorry. Go to Job 32 verse 21 through 22. Salakia.
32, 21 through 22?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 32.
Okay. Job, 32nd chapter, verse 21 and 22. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man, for I know not to give flattering titles, and so doing my Maker would soon take me away.
Mm-hmm. So with this being said right here, Job, he's letting you know all these man-made titles and things is nothing. It's kaput. It's just to boost your ego and stuff in front of the masses of the people. So therefore, they start following you instead of following the Most High. So once again, where was the title that was given unto Moses at the time of them striving? Who gave it to him? Nobody gave it to him. That's why the brethren said what they said unto Moses and stuff. Okay? But now we'll go into showing where Moses was set up as actually a judge according to the Most High before any judges and kings were even set up yet. Let's go to, I want to go to Exodus. No, yeah, Exodus 18 and verse 13. And it's going to be a shocker to a lot of people because a lot of folks don't know that the Most High used actually a Gentile to instruct Moses how to be a judge. Oh, shoot. I lost my spot.
Exodus 18:13.
Yeah.
Exodus, the 18th chapter and verse 13. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people. And the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening. And when Moses, his father-in-law, saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people?
So right there, his father-in-law, which is what? His wife's dad, which is Zipporah. Zipporah was a Midianite, which means she was Arabic. She was Arabian. So here it is. His father-in-law is telling another Hebrew, except he's a Hebrew Ishmaelite, talking to a Hebrew Israelite. Okay? Remind you, we all come from Abraham, so we're Hebrews, but we're not all the same. You got Hebrew Moabites, you got Hebrew Ishmaelites, you got Hebrew Israelites, so forth and so on. Okay? But that genealogy stuff is for a whole nother lesson. But anywho, continue, Elder.
Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning until evening? Verse 15. And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God, of the Most High. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of the Most High and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee. For this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. So
even his father-in-law with wisdom coming from the Most High is letting him know that this burden is a lot for you. It's gonna wear you and things. Even Christ is gonna have the individuals set up to help him govern the kingdom. Who is it going to be? The 144,000 elect men. This is all blueprints of what's been set up. That when Christ comes back, this is what's going to be set up and things like that. So he's showing and prove that even Christ is going to need help judging the rest of the nation and things. Not just him. It's going to have small, big matters. Big and small matters. Okay? But let's continue reading.
Verse 19. Hearken now unto my voice, I will give thee counsel, and the Most High shall be with thee. Be thou for the people towards the Most High, that thou mayest bring the causes unto the Most High. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear the Most High, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of tens.
You see that? So it said, moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Ahiah, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s. See that? So, truth. How do you fear the Most High? You seek Him. You know Him by keeping His law, statute, and commandments, seeking Him daily in things. Like it tells you in Proverbs 2 through 7. Okay? These are the things that you must do and stuff. You got to fear the Most High in truth. And a lot of you brothers out there, y'all ain't dealing in truth. As like I said, that's why the word is covetousness in there. Because you see another brother maybe having more the Most High set on him and stuff, and you get envy and you want to covet and start saying, oh, well, I could do that, or I could do it better than him, or whatever the case may be and stuff. And then next thing you know it, here it is, you can cause sin on yourself, and you're going to cause strife and probably bring down sin on another brother or sister that's not strong in it. So y'all doing the dirty dancing and stuff, and then all y'all sinning at the same time because somebody's in their feelings because Papa ain't give you a certain task that you didn't get to do or certain power or authority to get to do and stuff. So you're pissed. And that's being jealous of your own people and stuff. Stay in your lane, man. Just stay in your lane. But let's continue.
Verse 22. And let them judge the people at all seasons, that it shall be, that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, and every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee.
See that? So don't try to be a control freak. Like, you need help. We all need help. Okay? This work wasn't just set up for Moses. This work wasn't just set up for Yeshaya. They need help. And that time, and then now when he comes back, he's still going to need help. Despite the fact that he has all power in heaven and earth that has been given to him, he still needs help. Just like the Abba. The Abba does everything, but he never has to get off his throne. So he created what? Servants, helpers, helpmates. See that? But this is how it's going to go once you judge and righteously accordingly. True and righteousness all together. Well, let's continue, read.
Verse 23. If thou shalt do this thing, the Most High command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure, and all this people shall go to their place in peace. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law, and did all these things he said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his own way in his own land.
See how the Most High works? He used a Gentile to teach us how to keep everything in order. This is how we're supposed to function and stuff. And a lot of brothers in camps today, they won't give reference to that because you hate the Gentiles, so they ain't much. You forgetting the Most High uses whoever he wants to use. And obviously right here, Jethro is an Ishmaelite. So, yo, that's all for another lesson in itself. But now since we got understanding that you can't set up yourself by giving yourself flattery titles and things just because you're well known in the world today and things like that, or you might have been rich and everybody follows you. And as a matter of fact, that could be a test in itself just to show and prove how arrogant or how prideful you are because you allow your riches or your fame get to your head and things like that. So now you think you know everything or whatever the case may be, you judging or trying to judge matters and stuff, and you don't fully judge correctly. You can't do it. And like I said, even amongst the camps, how do you set up these positions with these so-called deacon, bishops, elders, and captains and lieutenants and all this other stuff, generals, whatever? How are you guys setting this up and you guys don't even know the laws yourself? You don't even teach the laws in your camps. You only teach partial of the laws. You don't teach everything 100% fully. And I know this for a fact because I've been around it. So I have legs to stand on to speak on this stuff. Okay? And this is not being arrogant or pride. I'm just telling what it is and what I still see today because we have our people still stumbling like crazy. Even when I try to bring something, like I said, billions of times before, I might be on the phone in a conversation with a brother or a sister. I bring up the laws and stuff. They hang the phone up on me. Like, what did I do? I just read the book. You know what I'm saying? So this is how you're supposed to deal. If there's something that I'm sinning in, and I see the matter happening right there, I can't speak on it because I still haven't been cleansed or taken that out of my own eye before I start dealing with them. You can't do it. Otherwise, I'm going to be called a hypocrite. So that's like, for instance, I know I'm still working on, I cuss, I still be cussing. Not cursing, cussing, foul mouth. Get the difference because folks don't be understanding that. But still, I need to, I hear others cuss and stuff. I can't be like, Elder Chris, you can't be cussing. And I'm sitting there, got a sailor's mouth the next day and stuff. Like, no, you can't do that, man. So there's some things I can't speak on because I know for a fact I'm still dealing with it and stuff, So, let's get the laws on what we're supposed to do when, how this was all set up, as a matter of fact. Let's go to, Deuteronomy 17 and verse 6 through 13.
17?
Yes, sir. And verse 6 through 13.
Deuteronomy 17, going 6 to what?
6 through 13.
Okay. Deuteronomy 17 chapter, verse 6 through 13. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall be he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death.
Okay, so stop right there. Real quick. When King Dawud or David, when he committed the sin that he did with Sheba and things like that, the reason why the Most High didn't put him to death is because there was no witnesses. See that? A lot of people don't know that. They didn't know what was his cause for putting, her husband on the front lines to get him murdered and stuff. Okay, nobody knew this except David himself and the Most High. So with that being said, that's why he couldn't get put to death. Now, if there was witnesses and stuff, guess what? He would have been put to death. So a lot of people say, well, there's contradictions in the Bible and stuff. See, he did all this. It tells you in the law he's supposed to be put to death. But where's the witnesses? There's no witnesses. See that? So when we're dealing with judging, you got to know these laws. Okay? But let's continue reading.
Verse 7. The hands of the witness shall be first put upon him to death. Afterward, the hands of all the people, so thou shalt put the evil away from among you. If there arise a matter too hard for thee to judge, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise. Get thee up into the place which the Most High thy God shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire. And they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show thee. And thou shalt observe to do all according to all that they inform thee.
Observe to do all according to all that they inform thee. Go ahead.
According to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee.
See that? According to the law that they shall teach you. So if you got men out here who's not teaching the laws correctly or impartial and stuff, how can you judge any matter? Or how can you sit there and say a brother is sinning or a sister is sinning and stuff, and you don't even know the laws? You can't fit the sentence with the crime and stuff. See that? So you'll falsely accuse somebody not even knowing you're presumptuously sinning because you don't know these laws. But go ahead.
And according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do. Thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee, to the right hand nor to the left.
You can't decline from it. It meaning no respecter of person. Well, Well, fam, I just gave you like a $10,000 diamond necklace the other day. You gonna put me to death, fam? What's up? What's up? Come on, man. Let me pay. Nope. Nope. There's no pleading. There's no plea bargains and stuff. It's not happening. Okay? But go ahead.
And the man that would do presumptuously and would not hearken to the priest that standeth to minister there between the Most High thy God or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and thou shalt put away the evil from Israel. Verse 13. And all the people shall hear and fear and do no more presumptuously.
No more presumptuously. So, with that, like it says right there, with that being said, these are the things that you need to do. So, if that person don't want to hear what the judge got to say, what the Most High got to say, he or she getting put to death, period. Okay? Now, once again, I'll say this a billion times. No, we're not out here saying you catch your own brethren and they sinning like crazy. And you got 18 witnesses and stuff. We all supposed to stone them and put to death. We ain't in our kingdom right now to do anything like that anyways. So, no, that's up to the Hamashiach, okay? That's up to Yeshaya, okay? So, with that being said, just, stay in your lane with this stuff. But anyways, let's jump to... Let's get the same law again, except it goes in more detail. Deuteronomy 19 and verse 15 through 21. So it's established twice that you need 2 or 3 or more witnesses.
Deuteronomy 19 chapter, verse 15 through 21. Verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, and any sin that he sinneth, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the man between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Most High, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days.
Now you see why those 2 men once again told Moses, like, hey, beat it, you don't know what you talk about. Who set you up a judge? This is why it was created. Go ahead.
And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold.
Diligent inquisition, meaning you are going to search very hard. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, you be on the phone, and I know this for a fact because when I was dealing with the camps, you sit there and you have a conversation between 2 individuals, and you got proof showing that you're innocent and stuff, and yet you're going to go with the other side because it's a woman or it's a man because it's your best friend and something, and they did wrong, and here it is, somebody pleading to you, showing you evidence that this individual is doing sin, but you still going to say, no, brother, you in the wrong stuff. That ain't righteous judgment. And I was in that experience, and in an example is that one time, and I still have proof of that back 2 years ago when that happened. Okay? So I'm speaking on this because these men that you see running around with the titles and stuff, they ain't in no position to be saying anything about judging, let alone trying to teach prophecies and stuff that don't even come to pass and things like that. And then you sit there and use the words when the stuff don't come to pass, and you look like a fool and stuff. You want to sit there, well, we all prophesy in part. We're all looking through a dim window and stuff. You want to use those scriptures to give an excuse for you and stuff. Leave that stuff alone. You wasn't set up to speak on that. Don't speak on those things. That's why I said, once again, I don't deal with the prophecies in the scriptures. I leave that to the prophets that was already spoken of. The only thing I'm speaking of is these laws, statutes, and commandments and our experience through this whole walk that we have to endure and stuff to help out brothers and sisters. That's where I stay in my lane, okay? But let's continue reading.
Verse 18. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and that testifies falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him, as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
Now, people will sit there and say this. But Christ says this. He says, if your brother is smiting you and stuff, turn and give him the other cheek so he can hit the other one. They're not understanding that scripture when it's dealing with this. He wasn't speaking against the law because no prophet, and not even Christ himself, is above the law. It's not happening. Nobody is changing that. Whatever the Most High put out forth his mouth, spoken into existence, it does not change. You just don't understand those scriptures. He was speaking that when he says, when your brethren smite you and things like that, turn the other cheek and let him smite the other one, is to teach him that he doesn't know these things. He doesn't know the law. So be a living example, proof, like, hey, not sit there and get your butt whooped and stuff like that. No, that's not what he's speaking of. If he offends you in a way, turn the other cheek and show him proof, like, hey, brother, you offended me, whatever the case may be, let me show you and stuff. But not because you don't have the judgment nor the authority to put him to death because he's been trying to kill you or whatever the case may be. You can't do the eye for the eye because there's no righteous judgment yet. You see what I'm saying? There's no righteous judges. But let's get the next law. Let me just leave off on here.
We just finished at 21, 19 chapter.
Yeah. Where's that one? One of the numbers. Or no. Excuse me. Let's go to Leviticus 19 and verse 15.
Leviticus what? 19 and 15?
Yes, sir.
All right. Leviticus 19 chapter and verse 15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
See that? So even in the poor, if that poor man is doing wicked stuff, no matter, because he's in his condition and stuff, you judge righteously according to what he's doing. You can't sit there and be like, oh, well, the brother, he's in his state right now. You know, he's poor and things. Come on, just excuse. Nah, it's none of that. That's why it's in the poor or the mighty. It doesn't matter if he's, you know, who's what. I ain't gonna say. I'm not gonna say because he's you know, a mighty man that's out here, a known man with his name, you know, all known through the whole world and stuff. He's a richest man or whatever. It doesn't matter. Wrong is wrong, is right. So you can't excuse that. You can't show, you know, favor to one and then like, nah, give a pass for the other one. No, they done wickedly according to the law. They got to be judged according to the law. Period. Okay. Let's jump down to verse 35 and 37.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 35 through 37.
So that was talking about people, but then also when we dealing with economics and things, you know, this is also a way how we supposed to judge accordingly.
Verse 35 says, You shall do no unrighteous thing. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure, just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments and do them. I am the Most High.
See that? So you can't, in everything you have to do, you have to be righteous in all these things. And the only way you're going to be righteous in all these things, number one, if you know and study the law, statute, and commandments, and then you apply it to yourself and your way of living on an everyday basis. If your actions are speaking louder than your words and things. Words don't mean nothing. It's your actions. People can see that you keeping these laws. They can see you following the Most High. So your actions has to speak louder than your words. Okay. The backup that about judging on the outer appearance. Go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 23, 1 through 1 through 2, I believe. Let me see. Or excuse me. Yeah. Oops, I was in the wrong one. So basically, when we was talking about, you can't have no false witnesses and things like that. So we're just bringing this up, and then I'm gonna jump down to the next couple of verses. But Exodus 23, 1-2.
Okay, Exodus chapter 23, verse 1 and 2. Thou shalt not raise a false prophet. Put not thine hand.
Report.
Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment.
See that? So, and we'll get to that. It's in the New Testament dealing with the Pharisees, as they had plenty of people follow their little wicked butts to sit there and lie and brought a false report onto the Son of the Most High God. Okay? Excuse me. Jump to verse 6 and 7.
Verse 6 and verse 7. Thou shalt not rest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous shall slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked.
Okay, so what it is speaking on, once again, the judgment, outer appearance of people, no matter what, okay? You're supposed to judge according to the laws. And we're going to jump into where you had wicked judges and things like that dealing with the Pharisees and things. But before I go there, and we only got about like 4 minutes left, but before I go there, I'm going to show you, let's jump to Judges. Now, since we got the laws, we see who's a righteous judger, how to live an example, how to be a judge amongst Israel and all amongst the whole world and stuff. We got the law. We've seen it in the Messiah. He said he's going to have disciples judging the rest of the world and things like that, and Israel as well. Now we see the laws, how we set up and things, how it was set up through Jethro and through Moses and everything, and how it's supposed to be. You have to be righteous in all judging, whether it's people or economics, okay? So now we're going to show you the problems, what happens when you judge unrighteously and when you don't know the laws. This is what's going to happen. So let's jump to Judges chapter 19, and we'll start at verse 1. Now, I'm going to have to do a part 2 on this because it's Judges 19, chapters 19, chapters 20, and chapter 21. And this is an example of what happens when you don't judge accordingly to the laws, okay?
Judges chapter 19, beginning at verse 1. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played a whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
Now, mind you, there's a law that says, your wife is an adulteress and things, and obviously, she's going to get put to death and things. The witnesses are the men that slept with her. And he knew this and everything too. And not only did he know this, the dad knows this once we read further down. So there's many witnesses. She was supposed to be put to death. But you're going to see what happened. But go ahead.
Verse 2. And his concubine played a whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down, and did eat and drink both of them together. For the damsel's father said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry.
See, so basically, the dad was trying to, calm him down and things because he already knew, like, my daughter has been a little harlot and stuff. I know this, and her husband is coming. The law says that she's supposed to get put to death. There's witnesses. But even what this man was trying to do, he was trying to settle the man down and stuff. So have mercy and things. But this is going to another lesson about the unconditional love of what Christ was speaking on with King David and things. Okay, but continue.
Verse 7. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thy heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray thee, tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry. And tomorrow get ye early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night. But he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into the city of the Jebusites and judge and lodge in it. And the master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger. That is not the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night in Gibeah or Ramah. And they departed on and went their way. And the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat down in the street of the city. And there was no man that took them into the house to lodging.
So mind you, of course, according to the law, Levites didn't have no inheritance. So if you saw a Levite, you're supposed to bring them into your home and things like that. So you gotta do that according to the laws. Okay, we'll continue read.
Verse 16. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim. And he sojourneyed in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw the wayfaring men in the street of the city, and he told the old man, said, Whither goest thou, and whither comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, towards the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence am I, and I went to Bethlehem, Judah, and I am now going to the house of the Most High. And there is no man that receiveth me to the house. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servant, there is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all the wants lie upon me. Only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into the house, and gave provender unto the asses, that they washed their feet, and they did eat and drink. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial.
Stop right there once. The sons of Belial is when there's a law on them, and basically in Hebrew it means sons of wickedness. Okay, so these individuals, they were known and stuff that they were doing a lot of wicked things and stuff. So there's a law dealing with what should happen with them, and we'll get that on the next segment. But we'll just keep reading because we're almost done.
Verse 22, then corrected. As they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house around about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brother, nay, I pray ye, do not so wickedly seeing that this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble yet them, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing.
So wait a second. Even these these sons of Belial, they were actually. It seems like they was actually gay. You know, because obviously the old man is giving up his daughters. So this is another thing that happened between Sodom and Gomorrah when Lot and his wives and his daughters were there and stuff. The angels was there. The angels, I mean the Sodomites, the gay men were sitting there pounding on the door. They didn't want the daughters and stuff a lot. They wanted the angels and stuff. You see? So this is basically the same situation that's happening right now. They wanted to do some folly to defile this man and stuff. So the maiden, or excuse me, the man of the house gave up his daughter, his maiden, and then he even said the concubine and things. Okay? But let's see what happens.
Verse 25, but the man would not hearken unto him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her.
And they knew her. Go ahead.
And abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was, till it was light. And her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. Verse 28. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon his ass, and the man rose up and got his own, and got unto his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife and laid hold on the concubine and divided her, together with her bones into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel. And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done, nor since from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it. Take advice and speak your minds.
Now, mind you, right here, it was saying the woman was holding her threshold, so obviously they raped her. Okay, they did what they did to her and things like that, so brutally to the point that when he had asked her to get up while she was laying down at the door, she didn't answer. So I'm thinking on this aspect that she was dead already. And the thing was, after this had happened, he just cut her up to send her as a mark and to show why you're not supposed to do. So in a sense, and I'm saying this in a sense, okay, I'm not making a doctrine out of this, but since according to the law, your wife is supposed to be put to death, who, you know, she's doing all these things and stuff like that. She's supposed to be put to death. But this whole time, the Most High probably had a way of showing that, okay, don't worry about it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it the way that I'm going to do it, okay? And obviously, the Most High said, I created good and I created evil. So he had something laid out already and planned for the concubine because of the stuff she did prior, before what happened with the sons of Belial. And they are the ones that actually put her to death in a sense because they raped her so badly. So it says she was holding her threats, and it doesn't say she was dead already, but he asked her to get up on top of the donkey and stuff, and there was no answer. Obviously, that's probably telling me or telling us as we're reading it that she was dead already. So he cut her up in pieces to show and prove to all of Israel, don't do this folly no more. Okay? But we're going to end it right here. We're going to get into chapters 20 and then 21. And then it's going to show what happens about why you need to know these laws before you judge any matter and things. And if you don't know them, you're going to see the whole folly that follows what happened right here in chapters 20 and 21. Excuse me. So we'll pick up next week and things, and we'll build on that. So I hope you guys got some jewels from this. And then we'll bounce into the Pharisees and things, and back what Christ was showing, the same folly that they're doing now. Okay, so anywho, I'm Brother Ezekiel,
Brother Chris.
and we'll build with you guys later next week. And hope you guys got some, got some fruit from this, got some jewels, got some bread, some eating from this, some nourishing. And we'll bring some more if it be the Most High's will. So, Shalom, Yasha'Allah, and world.
So,